Hey everybody, welcome to Get Your Play Online on this week's segment of Bedtime Stories with Julia. I hope that you're having a really great week. Today, we are going to be reading The Lion King, which is a story that some of you might be familiar with already. So, as always, feel free to grab your favorite stuffy. Today, I've got Waddles with me again. Get into a cozy spot with lots of pillows and blankets and get into your pajamas. I'm wearing this shirt that's kind of tie-dye, says love on it. And we are going to get right into the book. So, if you have already seen The Lion King, you'll know a little bit about where the story is going to go. And if you haven't seen The Lion King yet, well, then it's a new story for you. But it's basically about some animals in the jungle. And these are two animals. So this is Simba, and that's his dad. And we're going to learn all about what it means to be a Lion King. So this is, let's see, first page, The Lion King. The animals came from far and near across the dusty African plain. They came on patting paws and pounding hooves and flapping wings. Even the beast, from the tiniest ants to the largest elephant, made its way to Pride Rock. For that was the home of the Lion King, and this was a special day in the Pride Lands. Today, Simba, the firstborn cub of King Mufasa and Queen Sarabi, would join the great circle of life. The animals took their places and bowed to King Mufasa. Then Rafiki, the wise baboon, stood at the edge of Pride Rock and held up the little cub for all to see. So here we go. We've got Simba and Rafiki and Mufasa and Sarabi, and we've got Pride Rock right over here. And then these are all the other animals. So that's an elephant, an antelope, and a zebra. Do you know what sounds any of these animals make? Um, let's see where's some animals here that we can make sounds for. Zebras, elephants, lions. If you know any of those sounds, feel free to make them right now. A great cry rose up from all the animals. The elephants trumpeted, the zebras whined, and the birds sang for joy at the sight of Simba, the future Lion King. But one animal did not join in the joyous ceremony. Scar, the king's jealous brother, stayed in his den. There's Scar right there. Later, Scar just laughed when the king's advisor, Zazu, the hornbill, criticized him. Then the evil lion popped the bird into his mouth. Scar would have eaten Zazu if Mufasa hadn't come along just in time. Zazu wiped his feathers off and scolded. As the king's brother, you should have been first in line at Simba's ceremony. Scar's green eye gleamed. I was first in line until the little hairball was born. That hairball is my son and your future king, Mufasa growled. Scar slinked away. Don't turn your back on me, Mufasa warned. Scar looked back over his shoulder, his eyes narrowed. Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me. And so here we go. Character recap. This is Zazu, the bird, Mufasa, or this is Scar, and that's Mufasa. Simba grew quickly. One morning, Mufasa took his son on the top of Pride Rock and told him, the circle of life never stops turning. One day, the sun will set on my time as ruler and rise with you as king. Then everything the light touches will be yours. What about that shadowy place? Simba asked. Mufasa declared, you must never go there. Suddenly, Zazu swooped down and squawked, hyenas in the Pride Land! Mufasa frowned. Zazu, take Simba home. Aw, Dad, can't I come? Simba whined. Mufasa shook his mighty mane. Fighting savage hyenas was no job for a cub. Later, Simba asked his uncle Scar about the shadowy place. An evil plan formed in Scar's mind. Only the bravest lions go to the elephant graveyard, Scar told him. He knew the foolish cub would go there just to prove his bravery. Scar was right. Simba couldn't wait to go to the elephant graveyard with his best friend, Nala. But how could they go with Zazu watching every single move they made? We've got to ditch the dodo, Simba whispered. Nala giggled and agreed. Soon the two friends found a way to escape their feathered babysitter. So here's a photo of Nala, another new character, and that is Simba's friend. So they're going to go to the elephant graveyard together, which is a really scary place that they're not supposed to go to. This is a picture of the elephant graveyard. It looks pretty scary. Before long, the young lions had reached the dark, mysterious place beyond the borders of the Pride Lands. Giant bones poked out of the ground. It's kind of scary, Nala whispered. Let's check it out, Simba said. I laugh in the face of danger. Ha ha ha. Hee hee hee, cackled three mean hyenas, Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed. Look, boys, a king fit for a meal, Shenzi snickered. The cubs ran, but soon found themselves cornered. Simba stepped bravely in front of Nala and tried to roar. Rah, rah, rah. Sounds like Simba can't figure out how to roar yet. The hyenas laughed and jeered. Simba opened his mouth to try again. This time the elephant bones rattled with a thunderous roar. The hyenas were confused, and so was Simba, until Mufasa sprang into view. The mighty lion chased away the hyenas. Zazu had seen the cubs in trouble and flown for help. Mufasa told Zazu to take Nala home. Then he scolded Simba for disobeying him. So here's a photo or a picture. These are all the hyenas, and this is Simba's dad, Mufasa. There's Simba and Nala and the bird. Aw, Dad, I was just trying to be brave like you, Simba explained. Mufasa sighed. Being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble, Simba. A good king is wise as well as brave. Simba suddenly felt very small. We'll always be together. Right, Dad? Mufasa looked up at the starry sky and said, the great kings of the past looked down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you. And so will I. Later, Scar met with the hungry hyenas. I practically gave those cubs to you, he complained. They weren't exactly alone, Shenzi whined, but Scar had another plan that would allow him to become king. Stick with me and you'll never go hungry again, he promised. The hyenas danced and cheered. Right there. Looks like he has a pretty funny face, huh? The next morning, Scar took Simba to the bottom of a rocky canyon. Now, wait here, he offered. Your father has a big surprise for you. Will I like the surprise? Simba asked. Scar smiled slyly. Oh, it's to die for, he said. Then he gave a signal to the hyenas waiting on the canyon ridge. The hyenas knew what to do. They chased a huge herd of wildebeests down the canyon. Simba felt the earth shake. He heard the clattering of thousands of hooves. Then he saw the wildebeest headed straight for him. Simba managed to climb a dead tree and cling to a branch. Help! he shouted. Help was on its way, for Scar had found his brother. Mufasa, Simba's trapped in a stampede, Scar cried. So here we can see this is Scar telling Simba to go down into the danger, and that's really not nice of him. Just as Scar had planned, Mufasa rushed to Simba's rescue. He lifted his son to safety, but then fell under the rushing tide of hooves. Dad! Simba shouted. He couldn't see anything through the huge dust cloud. Mufasa tried to pull himself up the steep rocks. From above, Scar watched his brother struggle. Help me, brother, help me, Mufasa pleaded. Scar reached for Mufasa's paws. He pulled his brother close and whispered, Long live the king. Then Scar let go and watched Mufasa tumble down the steep slope. When the stampede was over, Simba found his father in the dust. No, Simba wailed. Scar came to the cub's side. What have you done? He accused. There were wildebeests everywhere. He tried to save me. It was an accident, Simba said in a rush. I didn't mean to. Of course not, Scar said. What will your mother think? He demanded. Simba looked stricken. What should I do? Run away, Scar advised. Run away and never come back. Scar watched Simba run. Then he sent the hyenas after him. The hyenas chased Simba to the border of the Pride Lands. The cub dived into a thicket of thorns at the edge of a great desert. The hyenas looked at the sharp thorns, then at the desert. The cub won't last a day out here, they declared. Simba ran until he could run no more. The thirsty cub collapsed in the sand. Vultures circled him. Vultures circled him hungrily. But Timon, the meerkat, and his fat friend Pumbaa, the warthog, chased away the vultures. Simba woke up in their jungle home. Have you ever been outside and it's been so hot that you felt like you needed to sleep? That's how Simba's feeling right now. And these are the new characters that were just introduced. So here we've got Timon and Pumbaa. And then Simba's been joined by them on his adventure now. Where are you from? Timon asked. Simba sighed. It doesn't matter. I can't go back. What did you do, kid? Pumbaa wondered. Something terrible, Simba replied. Timon shrugged. Who cares? You've got to put the past behind you. Hakuna Matata. What? Simba asked. Hakuna Matata, Timon repeated. It means no worries. That's the motto we live by. And here's what we live on. Timon showed Simba a wiggly insect. So it looks like Timon and Pumbaa eat bugs. And I don't think Simba's used to that. Simba watched Pumbaa eat a grub. Slimy, but satisfying, the warthog said with a burp. Simba frowned, but he ate the big grub. Then the cub smiled and said, Hakuna Matata, which remember means no worries. In the months that followed, Simba ate many grubs and grew into a full-sized lion. See? There we go. Oh, there we go. He's a full-sized lion. Most of the time he was happy with his friends, Timon and Pumbaa. Yet he missed his mother and often thought of his father. One night, as they gazed up at the stars, Simba remembered what his father had told him. He wondered if the great kings of the past really were looking down from those stars. Simba felt very alone. The next day, Simba heard Timon scream. The young lion raced to the rescue. A hungry lioness was about to pounce on Pumbaa, who was stuck under a log. Timon bravely was trying to protect him. Simba gave a mighty roar and leaped at the lioness. So there we go. That's the lioness. Just as they began to fight, Simba recognized his old friend. Nala! He gasped in disbelief. The lioness looked deep into the eyes of the handsome young lion and whispered, Simba, Scar told us you were dead. Nala told Simba how terrible things were now that King Scar and his hyenas ruled the Pride Lands. There was no food or water, and many of the animals had fled. But you can come back and become king. Then everything will be right again, Nala said. I'm no king, Simba said angrily. So here we go. There's Nala and Simba. And if you remember, King Scar is the person who's really mean to Simba, or I guess the lion who is really mean to Simba. But that night, Rafiki, the baboon king, Rafiki is the one who held Simba up on Pride Rock at the very beginning of the story, just when Simba was born. But that night, Rafiki the baboon came to Simba and promised to bring him to his father. When Simba looked up at the stars, he heard a familiar voice. Simba, his father said, have you forgotten me? Simba gasped. No, how could I? You have forgotten who you are, and so have forgotten me, the ghostly voice continued. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. You must take your place in the circle of life. Simba knew his father was right. His friends returned with him to the Pride Lands. And so here we have a picture of Simba's father in the clouds. If you remember at the very beginning of the book, Simba's father told him to look at the stars when he feels alone, because he's never alone. Back at Pride Rock, King Scar was angry with Cerebi for not finding food. Suddenly, Scar heard a great roar. He couldn't believe his eyes. Simba, his mother said softly, I've come to take my place as king, Simba roared. But Scar would not back down so easily. Simba leaped at Scar, but the villain slipped away. Instead, the hyenas rushed at Simba. Pride Rock echoed with their hideous laughter as the hyenas forced Simba to the edge of a cliff. Scar walked up to the exhausted young lion, saying he couldn't save himself. Then he pushed Simba off the cliff. Simba's claws scrambled for a hold on the steep slope. This looks familiar, Scar sneered, talking about Simba's father. At last Simba knew the truth. With a mighty roar he leaped at Scar. Meanwhile, Timon, Pumbaa, and the lioness had chased the hyenas off Pride Rock. When Simba sent Scar flying over the cliff, the villain landed in the mob of hungry hyenas. Finally, they had a meal fit for a king, or a king fit for a meal. Simba thanked his friends. Then he walked to the top of Pride Rock. His roar echoed through the Pride Lands. The rightful king had taken the throne. The plains were soon lush and green again. The animals returned, and the hunting was good once more. Simba knew that a king must have a queen, so of course he chose the beautiful Nala. And there's a photo of all of them in Pride Rock being happy. So we've got Timon and Pumbaa, Nala, Simba, and Rafiki. There's another photo. Before long, the animals again came from far and near across the dusty African plain. This time they came to greet the first-born cub of King Simba and Queen Nala. Wise old Rafiki stood at the edge of Pride Rock and held up the cub for all to see. The elephants trumpeted and the zebras whined for joy as the future Lion King joined the great circle of life. And that is the end of the book. Here we have a photo of some more desert animals, and that's the end of The Lion King. So I hope that you enjoyed reading The Lion King. We learned a little bit about teamwork when Simba, Nala, Timon, and Pumbaa all worked together to go back to Pride Rock. And we also had Simba's father tell him whenever he feels alone to look at the sky and see the stars. So you can do that too. It's really pretty also. And if you even try to count all the stars in the sky, you can't because there's so many. So I hope that you enjoyed reading The Lion King with me. I will be back again next Monday at 7 p.m. for Bedtime Stories with Jules. Until next time, I hope you enjoy our summer programming and I hope you have a good night, and so does Waddles. Bye.